The oppressive air of Kingsford County Courthouse danced with a peculiar blend of tension and expectation as Adrian Brooks stood before the imposing courtroom. The cold, gray walls echoed whispers of skepticism from the well-groomed crowd assembled in the gallery. It was a far cry from the warm, sunlight-drenched coffee shop, where he often lost himself in the pages of legal textbooks. But today wasn't about conjuring dreams from ink and imagination. It was about defending himself against a speeding ticket that had been unfairly thrust upon him. Adrian, just 19 years old, a wiry figure clad in a wrinkled shirt that looked like it had been hastily pulled from the laundry basket, felt the fierce stares as if they were arrows piercing his confidence. The laughter that erupted from spectators upon his entrance stung like acid rain. He clutched a stack of heavily annotated papers, fingers trembling as though they carried the weight of his very future. The gallery had found amusement in his naivety, the courtroom a stage for voyeurs seeking entertainment in his struggle. At the front of the room, Judge Barbara Stone presided with an intimidating presence. Her reputation as a no-nonsense authority figure preceded her, casting a long shadow that seemed to swallow Adrian whole. With her sharp features framed by a cascade of graying hair, she was a force to be reckoned with, and her piercing gaze fell upon him as she tapped her gavel. "Mr. Brooks," she began, her tone slicing through the murmurs. "You do realize the gravity of appearing unprepared in my courtroom, don't you?" Adrian swallowed hard, heart racing in his chest like a wild animal clawing to escape. "Yes, Your Honor," he replied, his voice betraying an undercurrent of nervousness. The laughter rippled through the room again. He could feel the room's collective scorn. "But I'm ready to proceed." "Ready." Judge Stone raised an eyebrow, skepticism etched across her face. "Well, let's have it then. Show us what you've got." With a deep breath, Adrian took a step forward, channeling every ounce of determination within him. He began reciting the details of his case, not the rote memorization of a kid hoping to bluff his way through, but a carefully constructed narrative built from the ramblings of turbulent nights spent buried in legal theories and statutes. He explained how an officer had claimed he was speeding on a secluded road where such accusations were laughable given the road's layout and the weather conditions that day. According to California Vehicle Code Section 40802B, the method used to determine my speed may not be admissible under certain conditions, he asserted, voice gaining strength with each word. The gallery quieted, intrigued. Adrian sensed a shift. The tide of laughter began to fade as he laid out his defense. "I was not speeding, and the radar gun used to issue the ticket was improperly calibrated." Judge Stone leaned forward, her once skeptical expression morphing into pensive interest. "And where did you learn this?" she asked, her voice suddenly softer, reflecting a genuine curiosity. "I've spent countless hours studying law on my own," Adrian said, lifting his chin with newfound confidence. "I passed the bar exam last year." The room erupted into stunned murmurs. The opposing attorney, maintaining a facade of indifference, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Adrian seized the opportunity. "Your Honor, I have evidence that will support my claims. I prepared a diagram illustrating the road conditions and the position of the officer when he claimed to observe my speed." A deep breath steadied him as he unfolded the diagram on the table. Gasps filled the courtroom as the audience leaned in, puzzled. The judge scrutinized the diagram, her brow furrowing slightly. "Go on," she said, the interest in her voice unmistakable. Adrian explained the nuances of his diagram with eloquence, detailing not only the physical layout, but also the crucial moments leading up to the incident. "As you can see, the officer had a compromised line of sight, making it impossible for him to accurately gauge my speed," he articulated. The crowd quieted further, rapt attention settling over them like a blanket of anticipation. With every point Adrian articulated, he felt the initial mockery and skepticism fracturing into something else. Curiosity, respect, perhaps even admiration. He interwove his arguments with reference to legal precedents, quoting statutes from his hours of late-night study. Watching Judge Stone's expression subtly shift from merely wondering to genuinely impressed. "Your Honor," he pressed, "this case is not just about a traffic citation. It is about ensuring the integrity of our legal system and protecting individuals from unjust accusations. In a society built on principles of justice, we must remember the importance of fair trial standards and the responsibility that comes with upholding them." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, resonating with echoes of truth. For the first time, he felt like a formidable presence in the room, rather than a mere boy lost among experienced adults. The change in atmosphere was palpable, and it fueled his resolve. Judge Stone's eyes sparkled with intrigue, and for an instant, Adrian saw a glimmer of acknowledgement crossing her features. "Mr. Brooks, do you have a motion to support your contentions?" "I do, Your Honor," he managed, feeling the thrill surge through him as he placed the well-prepared motion onto the table. He could hardly believe the transformation happening within the courtroom. The laughter that had once swirled around him had been replaced by an energized silence, the kind that sparked the potential for something truly remarkable. As the judge scanned the motion, Adrian stood tall, his heart pounding in rhythmic defiance against the doubt that once consumed him. The audience held its collective breath, and the weight of the moment pressed down on Adrian, guiding the currents of his thoughts toward hope. "Upon reviewing the evidence, I find merit in your thoughts, Mr. Brooks." "Perhaps I've misjudged you," Judge Stone admitted, her voice steady, no longer carrying the edge of skepticism. She raised the gavel, poised to make her decision. "Mr. Brooks, I hereby dismiss the charges against you. You've proven your case compellingly." The gavel echoed like a clap of thunder in the courtroom, breaking through the silence and igniting an uproar of applause and gasps from the gallery. Adrian stood in disbelief, overwhelmed by both relief and the fervor of victory. The laughter had transformed into a tidal wave of validation. He had faced ridicule, but now he hadn't just changed perceptions about himself. He had carved a place for all those who felt underestimated in a world quick to judge. As the applause resonated around him, he felt a surge of powerful purpose. It was more than just a minor victory in a traffic case. It was a realization that he belonged in this arena, that he could challenge not just the courtroom's expectations, but society's. He glanced back at Judge Stone, who regarded him with a newfound respect. "In this courtroom, you've demonstrated that intelligence, passion, and diligence can transcend age. Remember that, young man." Nodding, Adrian felt the weight of her words sink in. He had stood tall against all odds and emerged victorious from a world that had sought to define him by his appearance rather than his intellect and drive. As he left the courtroom, applause still echoing in his ears, a newfound clarity washed over him. Adrian wasn't just a kid with aspirations anymore. He was Adrian Brooks, a young advocate ready to challenge the status quo. The giggles and mockery from earlier faded into memories as he stepped out into a world sparkling with possibilities. With the taste of triumph still fresh, and the dawning realization of potential bubbling within him, he knew this was merely the beginning. The courtroom had transformed from an intimidating battleground into a canvas for his ambitions, and he could already envision the vast landscape spread before him, a realm of uncharted waters where he could make an undeniable mark. Stepping out of the Kingsford County Courthouse, Adrian Brooks emerged into the late afternoon sun, the warmth enveloping him like a long-awaited embrace. The applause lingered in his ears, a symphony of validation and respect that swirled within him. As he walked down the stone steps, heads turning to regard him with newfound appreciation, Adrian began to taste a freedom indisputably richer than he had imagined. His heart raced as he made his way toward the small cafe where he often went to study. The taste of victory rendered everything brighter. The colors of the world seemed more vivid, The chirping of birds felt like a celebration, and even the mischievous gusts of wind that tousled his hair felt like them cheering him on. Pushing open the glass door to bean there, done that, the familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee washed over him, instantly grounding him. He spotted his usual corner table, a cozy nook lined with books stacked precariously, each one a portal to different realms of knowledge. Today, however, it felt different. It felt like the headquarters of a burgeoning movement. "Congratulations, young man!" The barista, Sarah, greeted him with a wide smile, her curly hair bouncing as she wiped down the counter. "I saw you in court. Quite the performance, if I do say so myself." "Thanks, Sarah," Adrian replied, a shy smile creeping across his face. "Did you really think so?" "Absolutely. You stood your ground against all those lawyers. It was inspiring to watch." "What's next for you?" she asked as she prepared his favorite caramel macchiato. Adrian pondered the question while he fished out his notebook from his messenger bag. It contained page after page of thoughts and dreams he had scribbled down for years. Hopes of becoming a lawyer that could reshape the legal landscape, become an advocate for the underrepresented, and perhaps even inspire others like him. In that moment, a spark ignited in him, fanning the embers of ambition that had lain dormant for too long. "I don't know yet, but I want to do something big," he confessed, flipping through the notebook. The pages were filled with quotes from famous lawyers, notes from his late-night study sessions, and sketches of potential law projects he'd dreamed up. "Maybe I could start a debate club in the community or volunteer for legal aid." "Definitely do that," Sarah encouraged, placing the drink before him with a wink. "You've got that fire. People like you shouldn't stay quiet in the background." After fervently agreeing with her, he settled into his usual spot and took out his laptop. While the caffeine buzz began to sharpen his mind, he browsed job listings and volunteer opportunities online. It felt invigorating to click through endless pages of possibilities, each link radiating potential paths toward his future. The rhythmic clinking of cups and soft chatter that surrounded him became a comforting backdrop, harmonizing with the lively hum of thoughts in his head. Suddenly, his phone buzzed, jolting him back to the present. A text from his best friend, Marco, lit up the screen. *K. I heard about court. Let's celebrate tonight. Movie and pizza? Grinning face with smiling eyes, *. Adrian chuckled, the kind of laugh that bubbled up uncontrollably. He contemplated a moment before typing back. *Definitely. I'll pick up the pizza. *. As he sank back into his chair, he mulled over the idea of how much had changed in just a few hours. One small courtroom victory had ignited within him an insatiable urge to soar higher, to carve out a space in the world that would not only validate his intellect, but also inspire others. He felt the whispers of purpose wrapping around him tighter with each thought. Later that evening, the familiar sounds of the movie theater, buzzing chatter, laughter, and the smell of buttery popcorn greeted Adrian and Marco as they settled into their seats. They always picked superhero movies as they both basked in vibrant escapism. Adrian felt a twinge of rebellion against the ordinary, realizing that held within every hero was a story. Stories of overcoming odds, fighting against injustice, and making their voices heard. As the opening credits rolled, Adrian stared at the screen in rapt attention, allowing the world of fantasy to swirl around him. Yet his mind wandered back to his own story, his own mission. Wouldn't it be phenomenal, he mused, to be a hero in the legal world, to advocate fiercely for others, to help the voiceless find their strength? "Dude, are you in there?" Marco whispered, jabbing Adrian lightly in the ribs. "You've been staring at the screen like it holds the secrets of the universe." Snapping back to attention, he grinned sheepishly. "Sorry, fully engrossed. Just thinking." "About what?" "Girls? College," Marco teased, slumping back as the movie unfolded before them. Adrian shook his head, unable to hide the excitement brimming within him. "No, about how I can make a difference. Today felt powerful. Like, I can actually do something. Like what? Defend the helpless. Marco quipped, brushing popcorn crumbs off his t-shirt, eyes twinkling with mischief. Not just that. What if I could do more? Adrian leaned in, voice lowering to a fervent whisper. I want to start something, a community initiative, mentor other kids who feel like they can't speak up, help them find their voices. Marco blinked for a moment, evidently caught off guard by the intensity in Adrian's declaration. Whoa, that is actually a great idea. You are igniting a whole new level of nerd, he chuckled. But seriously, that's awesome. Adrian's heart surged with affirmation. This isn't just about me. I've realized there are so many people who feel like they don't have a chance, and I could be their voice. What if I started a debate club? Host workshops? Mentor kids? Marco's expression shifted from amusement to sincerity, his eyebrows rising in realization. You've always wanted to do something impactful, and now you have some fire in you, bro. But I need to plan it out, Adrian said, frowning a bit. It's one thing to have an idea, but turning it into reality is the real challenge. I need to gather resources, maybe even talk to teachers or community leaders. Start small, Marco advised. I mean, you just took on the courtroom. You can take on a few kids after school. Besides, what better way to prepare for law school than to lead a group? The movie faded into the background as their conversation blossomed, swirling with potential plans and brainstorming. Hours later, as they left the theater, Adrian's heart thrummed with exhilaration and anticipation, ready to dive into the uncharted territory ahead. Tomorrow, I'll start drafting a plan. Reach out to some teachers and drop the word around school, Adrian resolved, his voice steady with determination. Count me in, man, Marco said with a renewed sense of camaraderie. I'll help you however I can. You know I've got your back. As they strolled under the moonlit sky, with the streets awash in soft golden lights, Adrian felt the world shifting around him, the air unmistakably charged with possibility. The supportive laughter of the cafe, the solemnity of the courtroom, and tonight's vibrant escapism all converged into a single truth. He no longer felt like an unprepared boy thrust into the adult world. He had made a mark today, not just for himself, but for all those who would dare dream alongside him. Tomorrow would be the beginning of something monumental. He could sense it, could almost grasp it like a tangible force. Adrian Brooks was ready to step into the arena, not just as a defender of his own rights, but as a champion for those who sought their own. At that moment, beneath the watchful gaze of the stars, he felt an electrifying connection to his future, the path ahead gleaming brighter than ever before. Adrian woke up the next morning with a sense of buoyant anticipation, the sun spilling through his bedroom window like golden confetti, illuminating the scattered remnants of his excitement. He jumped out of bed, heart racing with the vivid dreams of possibility still dancing in his mind, and immediately grabbed his trusty notebook, the very vessel of his aspirations. Flipping through its pages, he had an idea for a name, Voices United, an initiative dedicated to empowering young minds, fostering confidence through debate, and shining a light on issues plaguing their community. After breakfast, Adrian sat down at his cluttered desk, surrounded by notes, inspirational quotes, and legal arguments that he had spent countless hours studying. He outlined his vision: workshops, mentorship programs, debates, and community outreach. He'd help kids not only to find their voices, but also to understand the power they held within them. This was not just a hobby. It was a crusade against the quiet despairs holding them back. "Let's do this," he murmured to himself as he hammered out the details. Each stroke of his keyboard felt like a battle cry, energizing his resolve. After securing the core pillars of his initiative, mentorship, empowerment, community, and advocacy, Adrian decided to reach out to potential allies at Kingsford High School. He needed support, and he knew he couldn't do it alone. With his plan brewing, he texted a few classmates he trusted, those who shared his passion for social justice and community involvement. Marco, Jamie, and Clara were the first to respond with enthusiasm. "Count me in." Clara's message read, exclamation marks punctuating her excitement. Adrian quickly drafted an email to the school principal, Ms. Thompson, requesting a meeting to discuss his initiative. He believed that formal recognition could provide much-needed resources, such as meeting space and access to community events, strategically positioning Voices United to reach young minds yearning to be heard. He felt a delightful flutter of nervous anticipation in his stomach. It was one thing to dream, and quite another to take real steps toward making it a reality. Later that day, after finishing up schoolwork, he gathered his friends at the cafe for their first official Voices United meeting. The air hummed with the electricity of possibility as they settled around a corner table heavy with coffee cups and energy. "Okay, everyone," Adrian began, his passionate energy contagious. "I'm so excited to get started with Voices United. This is our chance to create real change. So, what's the first step?" Marco asked, leaning in with a grin. His passion for adventure ignited each time Adrian spoke about the initiative. "I think we should host an info session at the school," Adrian suggested, heart racing with the very thought of it. "We can share our mission, gather interest, and collect ideas from other students. After that, we can schedule workshops and consider partnering with a local community center or library." Clara was already jotting down notes. "Let's also think about social media. We can create a group on Instagram and Facebook to promote Voices United. It'll be a great platform to reach more kids and share our journey. We need to build some hype." Jamie, ever the realist, spoke up. "Do you think we'll get a decent turnout? What if no one shows up? Then we'll adjust. But I believe in our message, and I believe in us. And even if only a few people show up, that's a few more than they had yesterday. We've got to start somewhere." Adrian responded with determination that met Jamie's apprehensions head-on. The conversation bubbles with enthusiasm as ideas blossomed. As evening shadows lengths draw across the room, they traded suggestions like currency, brainstorming slogans, and potential locations for their event. By the end of the meetup, they were unanimous in their enthusiasm and newfound resolve. They set a date for the info session, scheduled 2 weeks from now. "What do we call this initial event?" Clara wondered, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's call it Hear Our Voices." "An info night," Adrian suggested, and it was quickly met with nods of approval. Through the next few days, as excitement began to spread, time seemed to warp and bend. Adrian pored over flyers, designing the colorful announcements that they soon plastered all over the school and shared across community bulletin boards. Coloring in the letters and infusing them with creativity helped him escape the weight of anticipation. Each piece of paper felt like a small step closer to realizing their goal. The day of the Hear Our Voices info night arrived, draped in an atmosphere of exhilarating uncertainty. Adrian, clad in a neatly pressed shirt despite lingering jitters, set up the tables where the event would take place. The auditorium had been made available through Ms. Thompson's agreement, and it was both a privilege and a responsibility. As the clock ticked closer to 6 p.m., his heart raced. He wasn't merely waiting for the incoming crowd. He was waiting to fulfill the hopes embedded within his vision. Would there be a turnout? Would they engage? He couldn't shake the doubt creeping in, whispering uninvited potential realities into his mind. The room started filling with students, offering a concert of chatter and laughter that lured him out of his anxious thoughts. Marco and Clara welcomed each new face, their energy infectious, their smiles ensuring no one felt overlooked. It became clear that their initiative had sparked curiosity, and students began joining the group as newcomers shared their bits of skepticism and hope. Adrian stepped up to the microphone, his heart pounding, and the room fell into a focused silence. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. This means so much to us. Voices United is not just a club, but a movement aimed at empowering young minds, giving you a platform to express your thoughts and concerns. As he spoke, he found his rhythm, resonating fervently with the vibrant energies in front of him. By the end of his introduction, hands shot up, questions emerged, and the beginnings of discussions formed. He felt the momentum of their shared excitement wash over him like a vibrant wave, pulling away the lingering shadows of self-doubt. Is this only for debates, or can we also talk about social issues? One student inquired, captivated. Absolutely. Our focus extends, well, beyond debates. Adrian replied with assurance. We want to address relevant topics and host discussions. The goal is to advocate for change, not just within these walls, but in our broader community. As the evening unfolded, the energy and engagement blossomed, conversations blooming into discussions that spiraled into enthusiastic brainstorming about future workshops, speakers, and community events. Each new voice added new shades to their collective vision, and Adrian's heart swelled with pride. He wasn't just realizing his dreams, he was building a sanctuary for others to recognize their abilities too. By the time the night drew to a close, they had attracted a diverse group of students who had expressed interest in being involved. As Adrian packed up the remnants of the supplies with Clara and Marco, he could hardly contain the joy bouncing around inside him. In a week, we'll have our first workshop, Clara said, her grin wide. We're unstoppable. Maybe we'll shift the world in some small way, Adrian replied, heart soaring, a fire igniting inside him anew. And who knows, we might inspire others beyond our school. As they stepped outside into the cool night air, surrounded by the hum of distant traffic and city life, Adrian felt a sense of new beginnings. It was only the start of much bigger things to come. He and his friends weren't just plotting a course for change. No, they were already living it, demonstrating the power that united youth possessed, the incredible potential to inspire transformation. With faith entwined with enthusiasm, Adrian Brooks walked onward, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. But he wasn't walking alone anymore. He had a community. Voices United was no longer just an idea sketched on paper, but a vibrant tapestry of young hearts and minds eager to weave new narratives for their futures. The path ahead glimmered with promise, and Adrian couldn't help but feel that change was beckoning, urging them to answer the call. As the morning sun peeked through the trees, casting warm rays across Kingsford High Campus, the atmosphere was alive with excitement. Adrian stood in front of the school, clutching a stack of flyers detailing their first workshop, Empower Your Voice, a debate basics workshop. The day had finally arrived. The response from Here Are Our Voices, an info night, had been phenomenal. They had recruited around 50 students eager to explore the initiative further. With enthusiasm bubbling over, Adrian could hardly contain his joy as he caught sight of Clara and Marco approaching, both wearing wide smiles and carrying armfuls of materials. Are you ready? Clara asked, her voice high with anticipation. Ready as I'll ever be, Adrian replied, returning her smile. Just imagine the start of something incredible. With their materials prepared, they made their way to the designated classroom, which had been transformed into their workshop venue. The space was bright, adorned with colorful posters showcasing empowering quotes and images celebrating diversity. Together with Marco and Clara, Adrian set out chairs to create a casual, welcoming environment as students trickled in, filling the room with laughter and conversations. Soon, they were fully seated, and Adrian took a deep breath, looking out over the sea of expectant faces. Welcome, everyone. We're so excited to have you here today for Empower Your Voice. This isn't just a workshop. It's a platform for us to explore our voices, how to express them effectively, how to debate respectfully, and how to advocate for issues that matter to us. The room erupted into an engaged atmosphere. Students exchanged glances and nudged their friends, enthusiasm bubbling under the surface. As Adrian led the group through fun icebreaker activities to ease tensions, he could see walls crumbling and laughter merging as they introduced themselves. Once the ice was broken, they delved into the core of the workshop, outlining key skills for effective debate, constructing arguments, delivering with confidence, and listening actively. Adrian showcased examples of famous debates and effective public speaking, harnessing video clips to illustrate the power of a compelling voice. "Everyone has a voice," Adrian asserted, his eyes shining with conviction. "And it's not just about winning a debate, but how you craft your argument, how you engage with others, and how you inspire change. Each of you has something special to say and contribute to the world." Clara led an interactive section of the workshop, where students split into groups and drafted arguments on relevant social issues, everything from climate change to mental health awareness. This hands-on approach ignited a spirited energy in the room, the passion bubbling forth as lines of dialogue and debate emerged among students, each expressing their fears and aspirations. Adrian moved through the groups, listening intently, offering words of encouragement or advice whenever needed. As the discussions commenced, he was struck by the range of ideas and perspectives shared. The experience was not just about teaching. It was a crucible for collaboration and self-discovery. After a break filled with laughter and snacks, they introduced a mini-debate competition. One topic, two positions, no predetermined winners. It was all about celebrating the process of voicing one's thoughts, honoring diverse opinions, and fostering respect. As the mock debates unfolded, Adrian felt pride swelling inside him. Those who once sat quietly in the back had stepped up to the front, delivering passionate arguments, counterarguments, and rebuttals, their confidence blooming as they embraced the moment. The room pulsed with the thrill of healthy discourse. Toward the end, they gathered the groups together for final reflections. Clara posed a question. "How did it feel to share your voice today? What have you learned?" Hands shot up, faces glowing with excitement. "I never thought I could speak like that in front of others," one girl confessed. "It felt empowering. I loved debating with my friends," added another student, beaming. "We may have disagreed, but it taught me how to listen and respect others." Adrian smiled, a warm feeling enveloping him. "That's exactly the spirit we want to cultivate in Voices United. Debate isn't just about winning. It's about growth, understanding, and community. From here on, you all have the potential to lead discussions that matter." As the session concluded, students lingered, chatting animatedly about potential topics for their next workshop. That enthusiasm ignited a collective understanding. They craved more. Ideas sparked, and a vision of a burgeoning community filled with empowered voices began to crystallize. With the workshop over and the energy still crackling, Adrian approached Clara and Marco in the corner of the classroom, their faces alight with excitement. "That was incredible," Marco exclaimed, pumping his fist. "Did you see how into it everyone got?" "Seriously, I didn't expect such a turnout or level of engagement," Clara chimed in. "We should definitely plan more workshops soon." "Absolutely," Adrian agreed. "This is just the beginning. We need to create a schedule for the next few weeks, draw more kids in. Maybe we could collaborate with other clubs to discuss more social issues as well. Art clubs, environment clubs, you name it." As they stood amid the remnants of their first successful workshop, they felt the exhilaration of possibility hanging in the air. This was more than just a series of events. They were nurturing a movement aimed at turning whispers into shouts of advocacy and amplifying the voices that the world often overlooked. That night, as Adrian lay in bed, he replayed the day's events in his mind, a broad smile on his face. He could hardly believe how far they had come in such a short time. From a single idea sparked in the courthouse to igniting a community movement, they were becoming a family, each voice adding depth and texture to their mission. The possibilities felt endless, and he knew deep down this was only the beginning. The journey wouldn't always be easy, but they had each other to lean on. Together, through Voices United, they would continue to echo the importance of speaking out, celebrating differences, and ensuring that no voice would go unheard. Adrian drifted into a peaceful sleep, buoyed by the promise of what awaited them tomorrow, a world ready to listen, understand, and unite. The stage was set, and their voices were just beginning to rise,